let's do it. Part 1. So, when you're gluing, I recommend gluing one side at a time, first of all. And then, what I like to do is all of the insides. I put glue there, and then I put it aside somewhere where it's not gonna get glue everywhere. And then do the same on the other side, all of the insides. So I do not put glue on the outsides because that's what's gonna be exposed. So there we go. Now, I mentioned toothpicks before. You don't have to use toothpicks. You can be super gross, like me, and use your fingers. So, I'm just trying to get off a lot of the excess. I'll do it again later, but, and then I just wipe it on the back of my hand because, like we talked about earlier, if you do it on this side, look, I'm gonna get it all over the place. All right, so that's one side. That's gonna go against this side here, so the bottom, like so. And then let's do this side. So bottom. Oops, don't go to the top. I'm gonna set that aside. Put this away so that you don't get anything crazy. And then we're gonna put it together using the T-square. Knocking it down is always a good idea. Do that every time. So, set it into place. I'm gonna press it a little bit, and this fast grab tacky glue will get hold of it really quickly if you just let it set a minute. And then I just kind of, I'm pushing the T-square this way and this way so that everything is super aligned. Right? And then I can see there's a little gap right here. So what I'm doing on the back side is I'm pushing my fingers, not this finger, but the other fingers to the bottom, trying to push that together too. Still, every once in a while, making sure it's totally aligned with the T-square. Okay. So it's harder to stay in place. No good. There's 2 pieces. I am going to go ahead and clean up the toothpick. Put it on the outside of my hand. 2. Sometimes you break them. Okay, so when you think you got that nice and clean, that's fantastic. So now let's go ahead and put a side on so that it's a little more stable and we can move on with our lives. And you kind of got to work a little quickly because we have a glue line on the other side that we got to clean up and we don't want it to dry first. So I don't, by the way, I don't really worry too much about getting glue like on my cutting mat because at the end of assembly, what I will do is just wipe it down with alcohol and it comes right off. So that's that one. I am going to put my T-square back and just have it sit gently. So you notice I did both sides because it will connect on both sides. So same deal. You want to make sure that you're putting glue on the insides. If you put it on the outside, you'll just end up cleaning it up later. So keep that in mind. So even if the corner is inside, you still want to do just the inside, you know? And I mean, you can be much more perfectionist with this if you care to, and I'll kind of show you a little bit later ways to do that. But now, same deal. you just put it in the grooves, and again, it will fit exactly. You just have to kind of play with it to make sure that you are happy. Okay, I paused the video and then I forgot to turn it back on, so hopefully I didn't go too far. So I did this part here and I assembled it here, but yeah, I think the last thing I said when I rewatched it was like that it will fit perfectly. So there we go. So see, like, there's a lot of excess glue here and it's wet, so you really can't tell too much, but when it dries you'll be able to see it very slightly, and the perfectionist in me doesn't care for that, so I'm gonna wipe it with a little alcohol. So okay, so you can see a little bit here. Actually, it's already starting to dry. It darkens up a little bit, so you know you don't want to have to scrape it off, but that's what you'll have to do if you don't catch it in time. So what I like to do is take a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and you can use a Q-tip if you want. I prefer to do this, and it is a little bit dry already, honestly. So, so I'm gonna do this on both sides. And I already did it on those sides, but that was when I forgot to turn the video back on. So sorry about that. Just be completely dry, so there's a possibility that when I continue that it will kind of get out of pocket a little bit, just slightly. So this is where I like to take a little tape just to kind of make myself feel good, right? Because I got to clean up all of this side too, and I don't want to shift whenever I do that. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of painter's tape on there and try to keep it in place as much as I can, and then do it here too. So now I can clean it up and not really worry so much that it's going to come apart because the glue's not quite dry yet. So if that makes sense, always close with rubbing alcohol if you don't think that, you can trust yourself not to spill it, which is me. So I want to talk a little bit about toothpick cleanup techniques. So most people think, oh, I'll just come in at a 45 and I'll get the glue. You'll get some of it, but I like to think of it more with the angle of the toothpick, the more parallel that you can get. On the bottom it was pretty parallel, and now I'm doing it over there on the side on the top. And then it gets most of it. And then I can also come one more time in, and it works a lot better, I think, than just going, because all you're doing is drawing a line. So hopefully this translates to video. So parallel that way, wipe it off, and parallel this way, and then I come down the end. And then if I sleep a little bit, you know, sometimes my fingers I don't get to be parallel enough. So yeah, that's how I like to clean it up, and I feel like it does the best for me that way. And then you can always just double check it, feel it. There's a little gap here. So just push that. Oh, and you know what? Sometimes you notice things too, just when you're looking around. There's a little glue that's trying to set right there. You definitely don't want that guy in there, because then you won't be able to put the floor on later. So, and I didn't fall out of place because I had the painter's tape on there. So let's keep going. The same thing, other side. Front, grooves in the back to match. inside is where we're going to put the glue. And again, there are more precise ways to do this, which I'll go over more when we do more of the detail work, but you get the idea. When I show that technique, you may decide that you want to do that here as well. And I have done that before, but for purposes of video length, I just don't think that that's going to be something that we want to do. Okay, so I did it on this one, and it's going to go right here. So I'm going to hit the edges on this one as well. Okay, and just kind of go ahead and slide it in. Super messy. Again, it doesn't have to be. Okay, so it's kind of hard to do that sideways, but you know, you get the idea. Okay, so here, so it's in there. Before you put the painter's tape on and before you use the T-square, you know, make sure it's not going to stick to it. So I still have a little alcohol left on my towel, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab that before it dries. Grab that before it dries, and it should naturally be relatively square, but you can see sometimes there's little gaps, and that's what you want to avoid. That's why the painter's tape helps. For this one, I'm going to push it down a little bit. Oop, that was smart. Just make sure that it's aligned how you want it. Check it with a square. So I'm pushing this way into it, and then I'm pushing down here. And so when I push down here, I want to make sure that I'm into it here. So I'm pushing like this. Okay. So that looks pretty good. I'm just gonna scoot this back slightly and knock it over, and then just hold it in place so that I can clean up the other side. And I'm also gonna turn it and do it on this side. So just to double check that it's square before I tape up the last piece. Looks good. And I hold it in place. Cool. And you get some glue on your finger when you do that. I do. But if it's bad, you know, if it's wet, you can do that. Or if you need to use rubbing alcohol, that of course is an option. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up like I showed. So parallel as much as possible. Parallel as possible. And then come down the center. And I noticed that when I did that I have a catch. And that's because this isn't pushed down enough. And I look on the back side and I notice there's no tape there. So I didn't reinforce it, which is why it's gaping a little bit. So I'm gonna fix that with some tape. Now the painter's tape holds really, really well, and it comes off super clean. Okay, so now it's, because it's not gaping, it'll be a lot easier to clean. Okay. Let's see. Hopefully. So I'm going to parallel with this board. And then I'm going to go parallel with this one. It's not really parallel, it's just that's what you're trying to get it to where it's more in line with the toothpick's angle, because, well, I just drew a line. I didn't do anything. Okay, nice and clean. I see a little glue there. Let me grab my alcohol towel that I dropped. And clean out the excess glue. I don't know how that got there. Alright, here we are. Moving right along to the next piece that we want to do is the third floor. That is this piece with the cutout for the stairs, and it is going to lay right here. It's going to go right here and right here and back here. Okay, so let's do it. Always go on the inside for your glue, and I'm going to do one side at a time. So I'm going to do this side so it can just kind of lean while I do the other side, because the other side was a little bit different. So I'm just going to go like this, and it's going to be tight because it's meant to match exactly. So you just kind of have to press things around until you're happy. And again, it should fit exactly. And there are some times where you go, are you sure this fits exactly? And then you go, oh yeah, it does. Now, what I forgot to mention, I don't get to do it again. See, if the glue's not dry, you do that. Is this is technically inside, so you need to glue that as well, and make sure that we clean that up too, because you don't want that to get weird. Okay, so for this one, just because it's gonna be a lot easier to do it now, I'm gonna clean up both sides of this. It'll still need cleaning up later, but you want to do like as level as possible because it's hard to kind of like get in the grooves later on. So I'm gonna try to get that glue off my fingers. Okay, take two. And I think actually it's probably better to go in about where the floor is going to be, so you're not like rubbing glue around. Yeah, good grief. And don't forget to do here. Inside, inside, inside. Right. And then you can do insides here. I think it's going to be kind of messy. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do the outsides here too, since I'm going inside. Get your hole and not an edge. Okay, same kind of deal. It'll be harder to clean up. So I'm going to kind of do a pre-clean. Okay. So I'm trying to keep it level so I'm not getting glue all over both sides of the floor / ceiling. So I'm gonna put that in, line it up before I press. I can press down here, and I'm having to pull this a little bit. So I don't know, maybe there's a slight bow in the wood, but it does line up exactly. So not much cleanup there, but we still gotta do it. So, oh, and this is probably where you should clean it first, because like that's not normally how we'll do it, to where we put glue on the outside. Honestly, I don't know if I should have done that. Oh well, you get the idea. You won't make my mistakes. And a little bit more of this. Rubbing alcohol. Sleep. I will say, it's really weird talking to yourself out loud. I do it in my head all the time. But that piece is being a little stubborn. I didn't mention this a little earlier because I don't use it a whole lot. But this thing, don't ask me what it's called, can kind of help too. if you accidentally scratch it, don't freak out. You can sand it. But yeah, I just want to make sure that there's not a lot of glue in weird places. Okay. Another thing I noticed too, that there was a gap here. So you really want to make sure everything is tight, so when we do put the actual roof on, we can do it. Okay. So we're going to clean that up after we clean up this. Okay, so this is pretty clean. Okay, just for posterity, let's seal this up. And then we'll clean this up, that up, and that. I don't know how I keep losing all these toothpicks. All right. Same story. And if you are doing what I do, you're thinking maybe, you know, I'm going so much slower than this. Don't worry about it. Hit the pause button and know that this is probably like the 8th, maybe even the 9th time I've done this. I haven't actually counted, but so if I'm going faster than you are, don't sweat it. Don't sweat it at all. You are doing great. Okay. Now I would probably, or I am really gonna let this dry before I continue. You know, a couple hours probably. You don't have to go like 24, it's up to you, but this is a pretty decent stopping place. The other reason I say that is because there are no grooves here. You really want to make sure that this piece attaches well to this piece. So the way I do that is I lay it flat on its front so that the weight from this is pressing down with gravity, so that it nicely comes together, even though you don't have paint tape on it. Or you could just do this and you do have paint tape on it. So anyway, we're gonna take a break and be back.